here. This needs to shift over. And this needs to go here. All right, let's go ahead and run the formatter again. Let's click save. Oh, sorry about that. You're right. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so we'll go over, I'll demonstrate again what's going on. So this is the prototype we have so far. We are still in the process of building it out. So the text we want to translate, we pass into the text translator class, calling translate on that class. MongoDB and MySQL, honestly, it depends on your use case, because the data structure for Mongo versus MySQL is different, where you have the way you store data. If you need rows, if you have a structured approach of rows and columns, you need if you have defined, the easiest way I can put it is if you have rows and columns, if you know exactly what rows and columns you have for a table, you need a relational database. If you're kind of dealing with blobs of information, JSON information structured and stuff like that, then MongoDB is a nice casual alternative, especially if you're just building your own stuff. One is relational, yeah. So, but I mean, even telling them NoSQL versus relational doesn't kind of articulate why you would use one over the other. And then if you need to store a lot of information and you need to perform queries over a lot of that information you're storing, then you want MySQL or an SQL database, whether it's MySQL, Postgres, or some other solution. But if you're looking to store information and do queries and lookups and all type of stuff, you want to use SQL. Using MongoDB. That's true. I think JavaScript developers are using. Well, I think it depends, because a lot of intro Java developers are, they're introduced to MongoDB and it's really easy to use. But that's where experience in the workplace is, because as you get more experience, you learn, either you learn through hardship or you learn through your company that, MongoDB doesn't solve everything. Yes, it's convenient because you can store your JSON in it really simply, but then once you want to start fetching information and aggregating, basically querying large portions of information across different columns, across different tables, you're like, oops, MongoDB doesn't work very well. But most of my experience has to do with I honestly, I'm like the other way around, where I've hardly used a lot of Mongo. I've used a lot of SQL databases. I've only used Mongo for simple storage of data of a user to look up. But it's graph layer for existing engines. Oh, interesting. So yeah, so we translate the text, doing a query to Azure. Simple query, simple RESTful request, and then it returns back a payload. That payload is then parsed out by our presenter to translate it to what we want to publish out over PubSub. Knowing MongoDB can easily switch to MySQL. If not exactly, no. SQL is its own beast because of the query language of SQL. I honestly, I would first suggest potentially using MySQL. If you're looking to gain experience and knowledge, use MySQL first, because every workplace uses MySQL. Not every workplace will be using Mongo, or not every position, not every position you'll be applying for will be using Mongo. And the knowledge you gain from learning how to use MySQL, specifically how to do the storing and doing the query language, you will be a stronger asset in the workplace, especially if you're more entry level or looking to make a transition. All right, so here's our test for the. We'll stay consistent. Usually prefer my processor for MySQL. Yeah, I do too, but I guess for learning purposes and stuff like that, the differences for basic learning are negligible, because most of what the queries you can construct in MySQL also translate to Postgres. It's when you start getting to more advanced queries or plugins, right? A good test, a good test one too, like if you're just kind of like dabbling with SQL, using SQLite is actually pretty decent. Am I using Vim-like controls of VS Code? Yeah, I am. I've been using Vim for years and I can't stop now, so I am stuck. I'm stuck in my ways. Okay, I'm happy with this formatting. We properly test it, so we have this payload, we have it parsing, and then we're able to grab the German translation out of that. So that works fine for the presenter. What we need to do is we need to write a test for the for this guy, for the Azure Text Translator. What we're probably going to do is we don't want to store the credentials in the test file that gets stubbed out. So we're probably going to have to stub part of this. I know what we can do, actually. I need to, why is this doing, keeps on like airing out when it's trying to do Robocop stuff, it looks like. Solar graph, node modules. Weird. Alright, I gotta do something in my secret screen. I have to open up my credentials file and edit something. So Rails credentials edit, I think is the command. And I need to add a test env and put some dummy key in there. Okay. Clear that out. New credential saved. He's not only confused, but he's nervous. He's like, what's going on? Alright, let's be good developers and start writing tests. We're gonna write a test for our translate method. So we're gonna copy this. You know, we've already written tests before, so why do we need to reinvent the wheel? Or on typing out the whole file. So Azure text. Whoops, that is the wrong file we're trying to add it into. New file, Azure text translator spec.rb. Have I used Sequelize? I have not used Sequelize, honestly. I've heard other people talk about it. Yeah, Sequelized, promise-based, Node.js ORM for Postgres. I haven't used this because I haven't written a Node application that integrates with Postgres, which is the main reason why. But I mean, it's an ORM for SQL, so give it a try. It's actively maintained and everything. It's used by a lot of different projects. Plenty of stars. I call it a safe thing to use. All right, so let's delete tests. Okay, so right now this is because this is it can't find the solar graph for this. Hold on, let me try clicking save and see if it finds it when it's freaking out. So Azure text translator. Be back soon. All right, take it easy. Let's restart solar graph since it's kind of freaking out since this is a new file. We get a chance to. So it handles. So what do you want to? So this is a problem with like writing tests after the fact. You have to figure out how we want to test this. Because well, it's pretty straightforward what we're doing here. We just want to make sure that it functions properly with the stubbed out request. So let's make a describe block, just describing for success. We'll transition this up here. With it sends upper request and response body. The response body is kind of redundant because we're going to be stubbing out the response. So what we'll have to do is we're going to stub out execute request because this guy just runs a typist request. So we're actually going to take the Azure text translator. Even though we have VCR that protects us from or records external requests and then prevents us for subsequent test runs performing that request again, instead it uses the stub. Instead we'll just stub out the execute request method. And then we need to grab this. This is the payload that will get returned from our request. This is what we expect to come back from Azure. It's a little brittle. Response. Well, it's nice that the body of this is version 3, so at least we know it's not going to change on us. So thank you, Azure team, for doing that, being able to explicitly requesting the version of the API you want to use in the header. Could you tell me next time when you work on some open source Ruby on Rails app? In the future, I don't have opportunities to program with more experienced devs. I have not worked yet, and projects I'm working on usually are gathering juniors knowing less than me. I'm programming I've been programming for like 6 years nearly, 5 in Ruby, for example. I haven't done any bigger projects yet. Yeah, okay, I'll let you know. I haven't worked on any big open source Ruby projects yet. I've contributed. I don't think I've actually contributed to any open source Ruby projects, period. I contributed to some smaller like JavaScript related ones, but it could be fun at some point to try to create a bigger, like kind of like a stream project, right? We could come up with an idea of a project to build with using Ruby on Rails, and then actively try, open source it and have maintainers and stuff like that to build out all the features we want. I guess I would be the project manager on that, on the overall project as a whole. But that could be kind of like an ongoing thing where, as a community, we build a larger application. We build an application to who knows how big it could be or complicated it could be, right? And then we can just throw it on Heroku or something like that, as long as it could be free on Heroku. Okay, so on execute request, it should return back a response. So this will return back a response.body, which would be this doohickey right here. We'll have to convert this to JSON. We'll have to brainstorm projects to do, like, we'll have to figure out as a community together what type of project we would all want to try to work on, just for fun, right? And then we can go from there. So we want to get the response to be formatted to JSON. Well, I guess we do handle the response and then we say JSON parse. So actually we don't want to do JSON parse because in here we actually do parse the JSON body and return that. So execute. Oh no, this is handle request. Execute request, response body. Ah. So we get the response, we need the response body. Let's see if I can create, let's look at Typhus. I forget if we can. Typhus. And look at the testing section to see if we could stub out a Typhus style response object. So now to massage it. Part of me is tempted to try to use a different library other than Typhus. So if anyone has another client that they like to use, let me know. Because I just picked Typhus because that's the one that I remembered off the top of my head when I was building this. A Typhus response. Direct stubbing. Here we go. Hydra allows you to stub out specific URLs and patterns to avoid hitting remote servers while testing. Typhus response.new code 200 with this body response. Stub that so that when it actually runs that request, it does that. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to construct the Typhus request. So this is the body. Let's construct a request object. Whoops, that was on my clipboard. Oh, definitely not on my clipboard. Thought I had it highlighted, but I was just hallucinating. So Typhus response new. We're returning back a status code of 200. For execute request. That's beautiful. And then our response body is going to be to JSON, which is correct. Which is can we do? It has to be a string. Okay, so we convert it to JSON, and we do body. So then here we return back on success. We return back this request object. So everything works like it's supposed to. So over here, it's going to check for success, and it's going to return back the error code, parse it out, and respond back. So we still have to fix some more of this. So this needs to switch to this. Okay, sign token. We're translating just some information. Some random string. And we expect D-bad. This morning I was like groggy because after I woke up I checked my phone just to see if I had any new notifications and stuff like that, and someone had mentioned me because they were using my Twitch interactive overlay as using that as a reference for someone in the Twitch Discord for what they can do with overlays, HTML overlays, and integrating with chat. So that was interesting. That was cool. Response. Here, let's. I'm gonna open up one. I always forget the syntax, but I like using. Our spec has these nice object syntax stuff. Let's see. You've only ever made HTMLs with the overlays with Unity? Yeah, because since OBS is deals with browser sources and stuff like that. So in OBS, the broadcasting software used for streaming, everything, like all the notifications that you see on screen for other streams are all web views. They're added as browser sources into OBS. So, and you can position them and all that type of stuff. So this overlay itself too is just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's using a framework, game development framework called Phaser. That is a JavaScript-based game engine that I also recommend other people try testing out if you're like looking to do projects in JavaScript. But yeah, so this is just using Phaser to, for free, get the sprite management, scene management, asset management, triggering, all that type of stuff. The physics, so I don't have to do that for myself or try to figure out how to code it all up myself. There's already physics and stuff like that. Ubs overlay, I mean in OBS, yeah. Streamlabs overlay, Streamlabs, buffer. Applications in Unity. Okay. Yeah, it's just yeah, nothing fancy. I don't know C# or Godot or anything like that. So I have some books bookmarked, but I haven't dove into it. To have, all right, so I think this is an array. So we'll do, so we expect response to have two things. Or X that out. Let's restart guard again. Game Day is how you got into Twitch. Don't even remember how that all started. At one point, I wanted, just like everyone else, at one point I wanted to become a game developer, but then I just got mired. I just got distracted with web development instead. And then the closest I've gotten to game development is dealing with this phaser overlay, and this is slowly turning into a game. One hand medic. Thank you much for that follow. Welcome to the Goose Nest. Glad to have you here. Questions, comments, anything like that, let me know. Otherwise, sit back, relax, enjoy the stream. Yeah, this overlay is ever so slowly turning into a game, more and more so. I mean, you can interact and stuff like that. We have things in the queue to like start tracking users collecting bits. You wanted to make games and just never did. You got paid to program instead. I know. Oh man. I actually got into programming because I wanted to do web development, or I was doing web development. I got started way back when dabbling in web development, when there was Angel Fire and GeoCities, where you can just like pop up like a simple website, and they had these little website builders and stuff. So I got into that, like trying to figure out how to use CSS and JavaScript just a little bit, you know, make the sparkles follow your cursor and stuff like that. And then that gradually built to, after high school, you know, pursuing a computer science degree. And then when I was pursuing my computer science degree, I would like to do game development, but then yeah, I never got to it. All right, looks like we have some failures in our test. Line 58. This is so nil for nil class. I thought I implemented hold on, Rails env test. I think I did the environment wrong for that. I need to go to the secret screen again, and I need to double check the YAML file on how I marked it. Spec. Let me see. Yeah, I did it wrong. Okay. Yeah, I set up my YAML file wrong. I did a typo on the YAML file for the environment variables used for testing. So that resulted in broken ass stuff. So what's everyone's plan for the weekend? Anyone got anything interesting planned? Sorry, gotta write this email real quick. I think I mentioned this the other day, but when I received my final paycheck from my previous employer, I noticed that there was a discrepancy with the last paycheck. I didn't get my sick day payout, and for some reason, when they did the payout, or when they did the final check too, whoever in payroll was processing the pay or configuring it for my last day, they subtracted my leftover work hour. So there's two bins we have a 6 day hours bin, and we have a vacation day hours bin. And I didn't get a payout for my leftover sick days, and then for some reason, the leftover vacation days, they subtracted all of it out. They did an adjustment, deleting all of my leftover hours, so I didn't get any of those. So I sent an email yesterday to one of the people that does that, and with red letters and boxes to show. You had an issue with payroll as well, payout as well. Yeah. So remember, always, if you're quitting your job, you're getting laid off, whatever it may be, double check your final check. Always make sure, depending on the state you live in, as I think some states don't do sick day, holiday payouts. I think. Someone was telling me that they didn't get that in their state, but double check your final paycheck. Make sure you get your payouts, so you don't get stiffed. Just be, because you just leaving money on the ground if they made a mistake and you don't find it. What's going on here? Failure. Why did it raise a failure? What? That's weird. Let's go with the bugger. Maybe the way we're doing this response object. Response doesn't, even though we're initializing it with 200, it doesn't automatically just mark itself as success. Yeah, I spelled that wrong. That's weird. How do we do that? Can I modify the success? That's weird. Oops. I'm gonna try to stub or add a stub for this. So this is the request, right? So this is the R. So allow R to receive success. And But what's up, Ice Cream? Thanks for stopping by. Return true. Let's see if this is gonna work. And then return R. Okay. Continue. No, that did not work. Dun, 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 dun. Method have. Oh, it did work. Okay. So this is complaining that have doesn't exist for translator success. So it's supposed to parse this and return back an object. Yeah, I just job. So first week at new job, just getting things up and configured and working on a bit of code. Nice. How do you like working with the new team? Thus far. So the to have thing didn't work. Well, what I want to do is I want to double check for just it having the symbols. I always forget what to have. Okay, here we go. So expect that to match an object having attributes. An object having attributes. So I found this in a book, reading a book once, which is what this is a screenshot of. And I found it awesome. An object having attributes. Detected language and detected language and translations. Hopefully this works. We'll see. It's been going really well. So line translator spec line 33. I think there's a different way to do this because I don't care about the values. What I care about is that it has the keys. Talking about first day. Cusco, first days are pretty straightforward and unsurprising. So we could talk about first days in general. So always what happens on the first day is you come in and you go to, you come in and you say like, oh, I'm so and so. You'll get guided to either someone on the team will say hello to you and guide you to your desk, and on your desk it might have like a greeting, maybe depends on the company and the degree of how they welcome you, and you'll have a laptop on your desk usually. And then from there, you will either, kind of like, someone will sit down to you and either Be like, okay, here is the checklist of instructions to set up your computer. So you're gonna have to set up your computer and with the whatever you're going to be working on, the project, the repository, whatever it is, and that could that task alone could take an entire day. Sometimes it can take a couple of days. So your main concern is to set up your workstation with everything in order to start coding. So that's the main 100% focus of your first days. Along with that, there's the varying degrees of HR. So you might have an HR meeting about, just going through the company and stuff like that. And then you might have trainings with your manager or someone else giving you a walkthrough on the product or the architecture of the application you're working with. So most of your first days are consuming information about, whatever HR needs to cover and what the application looks like. You'll be setting up your workstation, and hopefully you'll be pairing with one of the senior devs. All the HIPAA stuff. There you go. Yeah, that's gonna be way more onboarding. But yeah, and then most likely you might be pairing with a developer, a senior developer, at least on your first day or two, once you have your work environment set up, just so you get like a feel for the flow of the company. And that's what it comes down to. It's just a lot of wide eyes and absorbing information and just being, honestly, a first day is always overwhelming, regardless of what degree of experience you have. It just depends on how it's your experience level of how you handle that degree of overwhelmingness. The one thing I will tell you that is hands down the best thing you can do on your first days of work anywhere: take notes. Notes, 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 notes. Did have structure before. That's cool. Yeah, hitting the ground running, ice cream. Beautiful. So, let's see. We'll try this. So the two have underscore key. And then we deleted those, but let's see if this works. Oh, that came back too. I'm getting my Mac and Windows keybinds confused right now. Solutions engineer. So you're doing tons of, basically you're doing your solutions engineer is like the new term for DevOps, right? Almost. When I read titles for solutions engineers, like it reads like what titles for DevOps used to be. But I guess you're more focused on pipeline and process. Yeah, like trying to set up process and tools, like you said in your my blogger. Do 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 do. So that's not working either. Oops. To be a kind of array. Software developer and DevOps. That's cool. Alright, I think that's good enough. We don't need to check the payload because that's not needed because it's hard coded anyway. Take us a little bit to write these tests, but that's okay. We're on our own time here. Throw. So on failure. Error response, success response, those error with cause. So I want to test for those error with cause, which we currently don't actually do right now. We just throw an error, we don't say why it failed. So we have a good request and we want request. We want to do another one of these, but we want to do a bad request. Success, false. Status code, 400. Although the status code doesn't matter because it's not end up knocked into stuff. Error stuff. To JSON. So this translate is going to throw an error. Forget the syntax for catching. Here we go. So we wrap this in an expectation block. So we expect this to throw an error, to raise error, with the error exception name is translator. So this part's a little weird to me. We'll see what happens. I need to save this. This is probably gonna fail because I need to move this into, yeah. I need to move this as part of the class. Oh, yeah, that's gonna do things to bad request. That's gonna do that too. We didn't do the proper stub. We didn't do the bad request stub. Oh, that worked. I want to check the message. I need to see what Typhus suggests for I guess what we should do is we should actually return back the response code. Actually, we already say that we're logging out the response code. I think that's good enough. We don't want to expose too much information. For now. Okay. Let's run our full suite of tests again. Rubocop's linting the file, so it's taking a little bit. All right, now we're back to good code coverage 2. We have this class tested, so that's good. We have tests written. Everything's looking fine and dandy. Now what we need to do is actually format the response for the message payload, which we've already done by attaching it to message translations for publishing out to the to the pub sub. One thing I wonder if you could set a timeouts. So I don't want this to hold up our pipeline. So this is two thoughts. There's two ways we can do the text translations. I'm not sure which one to do. So we can trust Azure to have reliability and always expect it to return back translations in fractions of a second. Because right here, this chunk of code right here is blocking. This will, depending how long this take, it will delay how long it would take before the closed captioning is published to the user. So, part of me wants to set a timeout. If it takes too long for it to do its request, then it will just quit. And then in our in our code, we'll handle successes and we throw an error, and then we throw an error and then we drop it. Just to ensure fast responses publishing to the UI. No exceptions are raised on HTTP timeouts. You can check whether the request timed out with the following method timed out. So timeouts also have their success message return false. Return timeouts available. Timeout and connection timeout. Timeout is a time limit. What's up, relevant Jesse? Hey, how's it going? Timeout is the time limit for the entire request in seconds. Connection timeout. Okay. So there's 2 additional fine-grained options for 2 minutes. This option is offer millisecond precision, but not always available. For instance, on Linux, no signal set to true, bypass floating time. By default, timeout is set to 0, which means the curl will never times out during transfer. The default connection timeout is 300. So we can set a time limit of 1 second. So if it takes longer than 1 second, we drop it on the floor. A spinny spin. How's it going, relevant Jesse? Happy Friday to you. Everything's going well for me. I woke up, ate some cereal, read some stuff, read some emails, and started streaming. We'll be done around lunchtime. Gonna do some chores, some errands, some tasks I need to do, and then we might be hitting, and then maybe stream later on today. Maybe. It was a really slow day on Twitch today. It's Friday. Fridays are always give or take for Twitch. Either people are super lazy and they're all over the place, all over Twitch, or they're active and no one's around, and it's tumbleweeds. Tumbleweeds. I assume I can set the timeout here. Just to play Overwatch? Yeah, I do. I do all my gaming at night. I'm thinking about doing kind of after dark game streams later on at night. They would probably be around 10 o'clock and stuff like that potentially. And they're going to be super kind of whisper quiet going, so I don't annoy my wife. But I play Overwatch and Apex mostly. I haven't done Overwatch competitive in a long time. Ugh. I just play, I love playing free for all. I love playing in the arcade and playing free for all and just doing stuff. Hello. Bing bong. I'm 50 points away from being a Masters Lucio Ball player, but I've been kind of lazy with wanting to play Lucio Ball. Alright, so we set a timeout so that if it exceeds a second, it's just going to quit the request and throw an error. Okay. So I think we have a pipeline for doing translations. The one thing we wanted to also test was avoiding translating based off your language, selected language. So we don't translate the same thing. So let me try to find that object that contains all that information. It might be under helpers that I built it. Language. So here's all the different languages that you can choose from. So they're all prefixed with this. So I would just have to look at the prefix. So these options come from the UI. Let's load up the UI. Login. So the options come from this drop down right here for the different languages. This tells the language processor what dialect or language you're speaking, so it knows what to use. It knows how to interpret it. So if I put it on Spanish and I start speaking English, it doesn't know how to understand me. So yeah, so the user has to explicitly set this. So we actually have this value set in the database. So what we will do is, and I think my user objects defaults to English US. So we don't want to try to translate to whatever language they're already speaking. So we need to build out that part next. Let's try writing some tests ahead of this so that we can get this right. So more tests, but new functionality. Let's see. I guess yeah, whatever. We're not gonna be testing for success or response or anything like that. So it excludes what is it? Current language from translation. It excludes the current from the translation request. We could probably test this method directly instead of having to do. We could create a method that we would test directly. Maybe. Translate. Current language. So we'll pass in current language. What we need to do is we need to remove languages from here. Def. Languages. Okay, so we have to still write our test though. We'll stub this again. Actually, I guess we'll leave this as is for now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write an expectation that a certain method is called and that it returns back what we want. So expect Azure Translation to receive translation languages. We'll call it translation languages, translation. Receive. We want to double check that we receive what we expect. So we expect it to receive en-us. And return Rars beer. Hey, how's it going? I was thoroughly amused at your comment of how when you Googled yourself, that Twitch clip came up. That's so good. Return array including A and B. We'll leave that alone. How's your week been, Rar? Ooh, look at that. By the way, Rar, there are some other controls, so if you want to be a princess, there's a command for it. You can be a princess or a wizard. You have to keep the shoot going. Stop bullying me, lizard. Hello. Okay, so we're getting legitimate errors because it's like does not translate it into translation. Translation languages. Let's just make sure we copy pasta this to avoid typos. We are good with that. So now we actually have to implement this. So to translation languages. and current language. My week is fairly okay, but also rocking fun employment. But I got excited when I stumbled upon job listing today, applied, and got an email back within 2 hours. That is awesome. Within 2 hours, holy poggers. Okay, so we're getting cascading errors because of this. This is fine. We're gonna be getting errors, repeated errors as we start building this stuff. It's a giant princess. Rawr. So the next thing we need to do is we need to implement the translation languages so that it actually filters out. So what we need to do is we need to do current language. So language, the code. Code. We have the current language. We want to split. What we can do is we can split at the dash. And split. Let's call it split, and then code is equal to split code dot first. We want the first one, and if we have that, then we want to filter languages. So what we want to do is we want to take the languages and filter out the one that's not the code. What are we working on? We're actively adding in language. We're prototyping adding language translation to the closed captioning extension. So we're writing out all the use. We've written out the API request. Right now we're kind of writing out one of the corner cases with let's not try to translate our own spoken language. That one. So we want to make sure that we filter out of the payload that we don't want that language. So let's look up the Ruby methods for arrays, for filtering and stuff like that real quick. So Ruby arrays. We could do a delete. I guess we could do a delete if. Deletes every element or self which blocks. Oh, it's true. So we can do a delete if, and that will return back a new array. So we can do a delete underscore if, and then let us do the lambda style, a proc. So my music. That was weird. Oh no, my mic is like delayed. What service are we using for translation? We're using Azure. We're using Chrome for the text-to-speech, and then we're using Azure for the language translation. So if the code is equal to the lang, hold on, I want more descriptive. Actually, let's do current code. Current code. There we go. That reads a little bit better. Ooh! Rars Beard, thank you very much for the sub. That Twitch Prime sub. Fireworks. Woo! Thank you very much for that Twitch Prime sub. You could use that sub anywhere on Twitch, but you decided to use it on little old me. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the support. Congratulations on getting those Prime #1 exclusive Talk to Me Gooseman emotes. Hey, and now you got a little egg. At 3 months, it'll start to crack. Little peeky open. Excellent. Too good. Let me see if I can reset my audio delay. Give me a second here. Nope, that's not gonna work. Hold on, give me a second here. Audio delay is so distracting right now. I'm gonna change my mic real quick. Okay. I think that's better. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. So what do you got here? Wrong number arguments given 1, expected 2 for Azure Translate line 13. Oh, yeah. We need to update the actual calls to Azure Translate. And -us. That's why those are failing. How's it going, Etherblood? How you be? Okay, this shouldn't have passed. I need to adjust this. Can I not listen to... Okay, I need to test this method. So we're gonna move this up. This needs to be a testable method, so I'm not going to make it private. We don't have to do all these stubbings out. Where tests get written and fixed afterwards. Kappa. Big Kappa. Okay, so we need to do some tweaks here where this is actually calling Azure Translate here. And we're passing it this the language code here. So expect that. dot to be or equal or whatever the hell. Looking for any nice array, checker, equality, mabobber, mathingies. I guess to match. Match. We'll do this. See if this works. Private method, we forgot to save. Oh, this should be code. Thank you tests. Okay, there we go. So our expectation is that all these languages are going to be returned, with the exception, why didn't that copy? With the exception of English. That is our expectation. And it worked. Let's actually put this into the scribe block so we can just test a different language, just in case. Translation. Languages. And excludes en from translation. I guess we could do this. Exclude en.
I love him. He's so sensual.
And then we'll do another test for KO.
I like to suck on him.
We can, I forget what the language code for KO is. Let's see. KOKR. We'll do a test for KOKR. So we expect English to be in here, but now we expect KO to be Gonzo. So KO, KR to match. What the what? Let's run this again. Why is it still removing English? Do I have something hard-coded? Current language. I should, if I accidentally coded it to always exclude en, that is not what I want to do. see, so the translation languages, or the translation languages method takes in the current language, splits it by the dash, takes that first part of the code, which would be KO, iterates through the languages. Oh, this is permanently deleting. This is a side effect, I think. Yeah. Let's see, deletes if the array is changed instantly every time the block is called. Yeah, I'm modifying the actual array, which is deceptive because typically, if it the convention in Ruby, at least the way it's supposed to be most of the time, is if it has the exclamation point on the method, that's a modifier. It'll modify the object, the array. Otherwise, it'll just return back a copy. But delete if doesn't. That's usually the convention. But then right here, it's like, oh, check out reject. So it's like, oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Also see delete if. Returns a new array containing the items themselves, which given not true, the ordering of non-rejected elements is maintained. So this is what we want, a new array. We don't want the current array. So we'll use, instead of delete if, we'll use reject. And this is why we write tests. With multiple scenarios. What's up, Winor? It is, yes, early day stream because I don't have a job right now. Quit my last job, so I get to have some fun. Get all those educations in. All right, now we need to handle the freak situation if it so happens that we get a bad formatter. It handles bad language. So we'll just pass in like that, KO, and we'll see what happens. It should, the expectation is that it'll just go ahead and translate. Actually, we'll see. I think by default, it'll just, the work will just default to English. Okay, let's see. Expected DE to match. Oh, it's order specific. Yikes. Thanks, Unor. Yeah, the job, I'm taking it easy this break. Voluntary break. Yeah, it was yeah, I know I'm splitting the dash. But the failure is because this is order dependent. See, it's brittle because I need to, well, I want all of them. Never mind. Forget what I said. I want all the languages to return back. So I want to split at dash. I did not pass a dash in. So I need to handle this better. Actually, this is not a valid thing. It needs to just be blank or null. Yeah, so KO shouldn't work. We want blank. That's a better test case. Ah, there we go, pass. But yeah, so yeah, the last job I had was I was not enjoying my time there. Lots of work, way too much work. Like it was 9 to 10. It was like 10-hour days almost every day, and sometimes even trying to look at shit on weekends just to get normal work done over the line. Overly aggressive timelines, way too much work for the size of the team, and too much micromanaging. And it's like, and if it's my first 3 months, 4 months in there where I'm still getting used to the system, I'm still trying to learn everything, and I'm still doing my work. I'm still trying to do my work to the best of my abilities with the knowledge I have about the system, about learning and picking up work that other people dropped. And I am still, and I'm frustrated. What does that say 3 months from now, a year from now? If I'm a new hire in the first 3 to 4 months, I'm already getting a shit ton of, like, getting overloaded with work and getting exhausted. So yeah, so this is the actual behavior we want. So the KO, like you said, Cusco Man, that wasn't an actual valid good test case because we wanted to handle empty string instead, because we're just testing for just in case something isn't set. Let's also test for null. We'll just do it in the same test. Split for nil class. So if it's null, we can just default it to empty string. Let's see, let me run this again. I guess we just have to do a check. This is where dynamic languages kind of... Oh, actually this, so... If... Unless... Short circuit this. It's still a parameter. Yeah, that's why I'm just going to do this instead. I forgot that I was confusing myself with JavaScript for a second, because with JavaScript, if you pass in a null, I believe it will be like, oh, it's null, just default to that value, if I remember correctly. So just do this. Missing space inside. Let's run the full test suite again. There, so now we're not translating. Now we're guaranteed to not be translating a given language. We'll test this in the Rails console, calling the class specifically, just to see it work that way. And then we'll go to the next phase of actually prototyping the publishing. Alright, so it's just that one linter error, and it fixed it for us. Everything's looking good. Alright, let's actually test this let's actually test this class now with all these changes. We haven't even like manually actually tested this. We just been today we just been doing the test. Okay, so we're gonna do, oops, Azure text translator dot translate, passing in hello, and the language we have selected is ENUS. And there we go. So it responded back with the translation. German, hello. Spanish, hola. Korean, don't know how to say that. Japanese, I think this is domo arigato. French, bonjour. Czech, dobry den. And then Portuguese, hola. That's sorry by me. Maybe. So yeah, so it excluded English. That's what we're looking for. So that worked. Translations happen. We good. So I'll save us a little bit of characters in the costs for doing this. I think we can safely close this and we'll keep the presenter open. I read the Czech version. Nice. Okay, so now for the actual translation, we need to test. Oh yeah, so let's go back to the Rails console. So a user should already have, so let's grab current user equals user dot first. So a current user should have a language selected. User dot, I think it's language. Let's double check. Model user. It's either here or it's in the stream settings. It might be in stream settings. Stream settings. Yeah, so in the stream settings, that's what the language is. What we can do is we'll try to do an alias so we don't have to do current user fetching the language to, I want to make sure I do this correctly because Rails alias attribute. I wonder if we can just look it up here. Rails alias. Yeah, that was a lot quicker. It's I forget the name of it, but it's not alias attribute. There's a way to call a method on another and nested on an association. Delegator, I think. That's what it's called, not alias. Yeah, delegate. Here we go. That's how you do it. I was trying to remember. So we delegate language to stream setting. So we don't have to do this whole like current user dot stream setting to get the language. So now if I do user dot first dot language, I get ENUS. So we clear that. So now when we're doing the publishing, we go through here and we do the translation. And then we add it to the payload and send it along its merry way in the message. What we're going to have to do now is test this. We're going to create a new version of our extension because we're going to have to do an update. In development 1.3, we already have an in development version of the extension. So let's go ahead and open up a new window and check out what we were doing. Stream close. Stream click Azure extension. We're gonna want to open this up in WSL. Yeah, I see jest and stuff like that's failing because it's not. Reopen folder in WSL. Let's go to Get Kraken. I want to see if we have what we have for in the changes for this extension, for the extension front end. Node permission denied, node permission denied, node permission denied. Alright, looks like we were making a bunch of changes. Oh, that's right. We were working on donation capabilities or bit transaction capabilities. Okay, well, let's start this in a new branch, actually. Let's see. We're using Yarn, I think. Create a new branch. 3. One 1.3.0 work. We'll go ahead and commit what we have, and we'll just have to comment out the bits. Oh, but 1.3 has bit enablement on it. Can we turn that off? I don't think we're ready for bit enablement. I guess we can leave it here and then we can decide in the future. Never mind. We'll just keep it there. Let's say bit enable work. Stage all these changes and then commit that. And then we can always revert those changes if something weird comes up. We're just waiting for the install to work, go through. I guess we should open up the dev rig while we're at it. Dev rig update. What? String closed captioner using version 1.3, extension view, and mobile view. It's not running yet. Yarn start, or I think it's yarn start. Yeah. What's important to me is seeing the event come through. So let's go to source. Components, authentication. Here's the Twitch wrapper component that we were looking for. So when a message comes in through the pub sub, it comes in through the broadcast, which is handled by pub sub's message handler somewhere down here. What I want to do is display that message. Received message, comma, parsed message. It looks like in WSL2 we are still coming across the same issue where the file watcher isn't triggering. So in our Webpack configuration, we have to set the watch option. Luckily, I have the code for that in my OneNote for Webpack right here. And that should solve the issue, hopefully. Okay, my VS Code's frozen because I tried to do a format. There we go. Yes, you are incorrectly indented. Okay, let me restart Webpack and see if that's gonna work. While that's working, I'm gonna get a drink. So be right back. You should you should go do on a stretch and get a drink also if you haven't already. All right, we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Ah, nice cold tea. Feels good, man. All right, setting the telling it to do file watching instead of using the event final system event polling Madugger, whatever it is. Fixes it nicely. You can see it compiling right there on the bottom behind all the sprites. Now let's try to refresh this and see if the closed captioning comes through. Alright, well, let's just create a new view. How about that? Create a mobile view. What the heck? What's going on here? Developer rig. Extension iframe. Let's try to find the reference to our iframe. Localhost 8080 mobile. HPS localhost 8080 mobile. Is this running on localhost 8080 or is this running on normal? Let's see. Local host 8080 mobile HTML. Localhost HTTPS : Ugh. HTTPS localhost 8080 mobile. What's this? Oh, nothing. All right, let's try a different command. It could be because we're running in the dev rig. Or in the WSL2, but I don't think so. Project running on that port. Let's see it. Nothing happened. All right. I guess it's been too long since we've worked on this, and we have no clue what we're doing anymore. Must be a configuration thing. Just waiting for this to run. It's running from HTTPS localhost to 8080. This could be a WSL thing. Because there's a comment in WSL too about reaching servers that are running in it. I haven't encountered it yet when running regular localhost. But if running HTTPS, could that be the reason? Let me see something. No, that isn't it either. Yeah, something's weird. This worked previously, this is not working anymore. Might have to test this on the Mac instead and see if that works. Let's push this branch up. Actually, see. So we did the lock file. We added the console log. We did this, and then this got like reformatted. Whatever. Logging and formatting. Let's push the branch up again. And what I'm gonna do right now is let's check on the Mac how things look. Okay. NDI scan converter. Let's see. And we'll switch displaying on the Mac in a second. Yes. There we go. All right. So we need to clone. First of all, we need to clone our project for optioner extension. We'll switch the 130 working branch. Go ahead, open up iTerm. Sure, we'll use an update. I'll relaunch. Let's just do that now. Fine. Minimal theme. What? What else did they change? Status bar too. What? Sure, why not? Want the clock, battery level, CPU utilization, RAM, get state, sure. Although actually we don't need the get state. Yeah, we do want job name. I want it on the bottom though. How do I move it to the bottom? The bottom. Really expanding customized video titles can now be shown in an icon. Worry about that later. Right. We got distracted enough right there. Whoa. Can I move this status bar? I'll have to figure that out later. Okay. CD, documents, code. ls stream closed captioner, and then yarn. Whoa, interesting. A registry failure for one of our packages? Really? Okay, that worked that time. Let me see something here. Something happened here that was weird. Bit to screen, dang it. There we go. That looks better, although it's smaller. So yarn start. Open up the developer rig. I just want to test the payloads once we start doing the translation. What version of the dev rig are we on? Or 121. Yeah, that's good. Add a project, open a project. We need to go to stream, close captioner, extension. Here's the JSON file that contains the configuration. Need to do the secret. Secret. Okay. Back again. Oops, wrong screen. So we're suffering from HTTP localhost 8080. Let's double check our dev configuration now. Oh, I think we figured it out. I wasn't looking close enough. I think our dev configuration expects it to be on HTTPS. Can we host on HTTPS, by the way? We'll switch it to HTTP for now. Version details. Acid hosting. We'll switch it to HTTP. Save those changes. And then we gotta go over here, update our configuration, go over here, refresh this. We'll delete it. Go with just the panel, whatever. That doesn't seem to be working. That's weird how on my Mac it says it's running on HTTP, but on Windows it says it's running on HTTPS. Yeah, so it is running. Go to the mobile view. There we go. Looks like there's some JavaScript error. Try a different view. Do the overlay view. We're getting this cracking user 401 authentication error. Maybe this is the issue. If it can't authenticate, it can't do the extension maybe? Okay, so we'll do an overlay, type broadcaster, logged out viewer. Let's try that context. There's bits enabled. Sure, why not? Let's test over here again. If I do localhost 8080, localhost 8080, do I hit the web page or do I hit the... I don't hit anything. Panel view, logged out viewer. We'll remove the bit enablement flag. Let's go down here. Yeah, it looks like there's something wrong with the rig. Let me look at Discord real quick. Nothing reported. This is annoying. Man, I was so excited to try to test this out and just to see the message piping through. But if we can't get it to work in the dev rig, it makes it really difficult to be able to test this. The stuff was working the other day. We got one of these examples. So that works. This one doesn't. Interesting. Hold on. Is this the context? Okay, let's go to configuration view. That works. So the configuration view works. So there is a bug in the panel preview. And when you're trying to use panel overlay or mobile. There we go. What? Why is it working now? Oh, well, there's no get Kraken error, so there was some sort of authentication error that was coming through. Okay, so it was an error on Twitch. since the Get Kraken API was throwing 401s, it was failing. Oh, man. Okay, since we have that working, what we're going to be doing to see this, so at the bottom of the rig, it's logging out the messages we're receiving from the pub sub messaging. We're going to turn this off, and let's refresh the localhost. And we're going to run this on our localhost server. And we're going to see what comes through the pipe. So turn this on. And messages should start being sent through. Although, I do not see any messages in regards to other language stuff. I'm gonna close this. No. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure to kill this. I'm gonna... The local server that's running on the Windows computer. I'm gonna close the React thing we were doing there. Oh, you can't see this, but on the Windows computer, I'm checking. I guess I'll switch to the Windows computer real quick. Let me disable publishing. What I want to do is I want to tail the logs. I guess it's working. Maybe we have to touch temp restart. Maybe we have to restart the server, the local server. And then what we're going to do is we're going to... I guess we're going to tail the logs. Tail-f log development logs. Go ahead and refresh this. Okay. Let's go ahead and toggle this on. So now I should be publishing messages to the server. So we're sending messages to Azure, and we're also publishing to the pub sub. We are speech to text. The Azure stuff is returning 204s with OKs. I'm not seeing anything in the payloads coming in yet. Let me see something here. Maybe we have to make the changes here. Let me turn this off so we're not wasting alright, let's actually test this out. Is this gonna work now? Let me refresh this. We'll try to do the exact same thing we replicated before, where we try to load. Oh yeah, the UI is not loaded here. Duh. Let's go to the Twitch API. Publish the pub sub. Are we sanitizing any of the message? Build pub sub message body. Anime Lover, what's up? Okay, so this is supposed to add Azure presentation to hash to this. I guess what we can do is we can do a Rails logger instead of doing a breakpoint. Let's see what the message returns back. Did Overwatch pay you to sponsor the game? So did Overwatch pay me to sponsor their game, or do you mean Overwatch? Did Overwatch sponsor me to play their game? Is that what you mean? Let's see here. Oh, there's an error here. Okay, I see it. I didn't notice that before. There's an error that being thrown right here. Initialize constant speech channel, Azure Translator, presenter. So the presenter is throwing a hissy fit. Let's fix that. To wear that cap? Nope. I paid to wear that cap. I like this hat. I really enjoy this hat, actually. It's one of my faves. Okay, let's see. Let's start talking again. Oh wait, I think I had to touch and restart. I think that's a I think I have to kick off the server again. Alright. Let's kick this off again. And watch the errors come through. Interesting. Oh, I haven't misspelled. Duh. Duh. That could probably fix things if I actually spelled things properly. We're just trying to get to the point where we're gonna see the translations coming through the pub sub, and then we'll be calling it for this stream. I have a tea lunch, have to do some errands, and we'll try to be back later on today. If not, I will see you later. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stream Saturday. Might take a break on Saturday and then start streaming on Sunday again. Our usual time. Okay, let's see these messages coming through again. Oof. Looks like we're mired with errors going on right now. Implicit conversion of symbol into integer. So error during translation. Unfortunately, we can't test this part of the code, the WebSocket code, because Rails isn't set up with a clean pipeline to do that. So that's really annoying to have to do. Alright, let's see. More tests. Let me restart the server again because this part of the code doesn't seem to be refreshing. Alright. Let's see, let's run this through again. Yeah, okay. It looks like the translation presenter is failing. It's failing somewhere in here. What we can do is log out the backtrace. Or stack trace. But stack trace or backtrace, I forget. Ruby exception. Backtrace. Backtrace. Let's see if this helps us. I'm very low invested in trying to step through the code, because we're gonna call it pretty soon. I want to see if I can just get an easy win with getting a stack trace on where the code fails. Okay, there we go. Speech channel, error during translation, speech channel line 29. So here. Oh, this is being converted to JSON. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. That has to be it. We're doing JSON too early. Really need to get tests. I can't wait. I guess we're gonna try to do an upgrade to Rails 6 because Rails 6 has good testing for or the framework for testing the WebSocket code, I believe, is simpler, so we can actually properly test our WebSocket code. All right, let's see this go. Oh, it works. We're definitely going to have to optimize this to handle retranslations of the same thing. So, here on the Mac side, since I have it configured, let me turn this off. We can see, can't make this bigger. Can't make it bigger, unfortunately. Maybe we can zoom in. Do I not have my settings? Do I not have click control magnify zoom? Let's see. I don't have that enabled, I guess. Let's go to accessibility. Boom. It's control. There we go. There we go. Enhance. Oh. Zoom out. Zoom in. So we can see right here that it's saying it's translating. Let's try to find a smaller chunk of words. It translated fireworks to the different languages. It looks like fireworks are just fireworks in most of the languages. But let's go. It's in Deutsch. Oh yeah, like right here, Portuguese. Vamos. That's correct for let's go. All right, está bem. So it's doing it. The prototype is working. We are publishing the payload. So we have a new key. Zoom out a little bit. We have a translations key or attribute on our object, and we have the different languages in which we can translate that it's translated that to. We have to now optimize. So on the server, we have to avoid retranslating the same string over and over again. That's one thing. So that's going to be the next step. So cache already translated string of text to avoid translating again. So that's going to be the next objective, so we don't just keep on translating the same thing over and over again. We could change the way we're publishing our messages too, from the pub sub, from the UI over the WebSocket. But it's within our interest to also just avoid translating the same thing over and over again. So I have an idea how we're going to do that. That's what we're going to try to do next time as we continue our endeavor to working on this new feature. So let me close this over on my computer-ladora. Close all this. And then over here, we can kill this. And let's close up.